In today's episode of the Society 4th series, we're talking about the domain of health. And today I'm talking about it with my guest, Frans Kusse. Frans, thank you very much for being here.
Okay, thank you for inviting me.
We've talked about Society 4th with our previous guest, Bob de Wit, and we have had a lot of information about what Society 4th is. But Bob has split his organization into 10 different domains, and we're having interviews with all of those domains. And today, one of those domains that we're going to talk about is health. Frans, thank you for being here. Thank you for talking about your domain of knowledge and everything that you know about health. Perhaps it would be nice to start a little bit with an introduction of yourself so that the people know who you are.
My name is Frans Kusse. I'm a medical doctor and for nearly 40 years. And I studied also complementary medicine. It's next to the regular university medicine, and my specialism is homeopathy in the practice, but I'm interested in integrative medicine, so all kinds of treatments that are possible. So that's my
your area of expertise.
Yes, and I'm especially interested to see a new vision in healthcare, because I think the current vision on healthcare is coming to an end.
Right.
And I'm happy to be able to explain that.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about why you think the current vision of health is coming to an end, and preferably from your own background, what you've seen happening in your yes. years over time, what you've seen changing?
Yes, the last 20 years I'm connected to all kinds of directions in medicine, many specialism, and what I see is that at this moment the focus in healthcare is on treatment by medication and surgery, and Western medicine is very good in that. So we have invented many good medications.
Yeah.
And also surgery is in the Western world high developed. That's not a problem, but we try to solve every problem with medication.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that's coming to an end.
Yeah.
Because we have really to look at the deeper causes of disease, and we now know more about that, and that's the new vision, that we really have to go deeper to the real causes of disease.
Right. In your vision, can you talk a little bit about what the real causes of diseases are? Because I understand the problem. If the tool that you have in your hand is a hammer, then every problem looks like a nail. You want to use that tool for everything that you have. But what you're saying is there is a substructure of what is underlying of all of the different causes, and what does that substructure look like as you see it?
If you look at the past, the main causes of death and disease in the past were bacteria, viruses, the viral diseases, infectious diseases. That was the main cause. And the last 40, 50 years, you see that the chronic diseases are accelerating and very fast. That's so at this moment we live longer than 100 years ago. But if you look at the health, that people, the lifespan that you have no disease is becoming shorter.
Quality of time is getting shorter, quantity of time is getting longer.
Exactly. So people are getting more and more at the younger age chronic diseases. And that's a big problem. And in Holland, it is obvious that it's you see in time. You see acceleration.
Yeah.
In the United States, it's crazy. It's about 60%, 70% of the adults are obese and have chronic diseases. But that's coming here too.
Yeah.
And that's and then you look at lifestyle, at that kind of causes. We know at this moment that we already knew at the beginning of this century that about 70 to 90% of the chronic diseases are caused by lifestyle. So, and we, in the past, we never gave attention to lifestyle.
Right.
So that's one of the other visions that we have had. We have to turn around our approach.
Exactly, and this is also where we have an overlap of domains. So one of the things that happens with Society Fourth is that people have a certain domain, and they have knowledge within that domain, and they have a vision within that domain, but it overlaps. And for instance, health easily overlaps with food, for instance.
Yeah, if we really, it's one of the causes. It's not the only cause, but food. And if you look further, then the way we verbouwen, the raise the food.
We grow the food.
The soil that we use, the use of artificial fertilizers and that kind of things, and the pesticides. That's terrible. That's one of the causes of many diseases. But then also the processing of the food is also the processing of the food is another thing. Most people eat processed food and lots of sugar, carbohydrates, and that's we see an acceleration of diabetes type 2, etc., obesity, and that's one of the important things. So that in our vision we have to turn it around completely. So in our vision, first of all, we have to look at the soil. We have to go back to the natural raising of the plants that we eat. And the animals that we how we treat the animals that we eat, so that we go back to the natural way of living.
The natural systems of abundance.
Exactly.
The original way that systems were meant to be, and not the mechanical systems that we have implemented upon them just for economic growth and mass production and.
So that's one of the things, and I think the results are obvious. That if you look at the diseases at this moment, and also what we forgot is that we have enormous capacity of self-healing, and that's. It is so obvious that we forget it. Many doctors say, "Oh, don't worry, it will heal itself," and they don't say, "Oh, wait and see." But we forget that the self-healing capacity. In fact, it is the most important thing, and we can do a lot more with that. Every doctor believes in the self-healing capacity. There's nobody that says that doesn't exist, but they forget to use it.
So are you saying that there's a way to cultivate the natural self-healing ability of people?
Absolutely, and that's. I think that's the. If you look at all the traditional ways of medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. Ayurveda, but also homeopathy, anthroposophic medicine, naturopathic medicine in the West. They were all based on the self-healing capacity, on the natural forces of healing. And in Western medicine, we forgot that.
We think about it in a way that that's the way that things are, and then we use that as a foundation to build upon, but we never take care of that foundation.
Exactly, exactly. And we've forgotten, of course, there are many good inventions by human beings, like the techniques for surgery, etc. That's, I think we have very good methods.
And they're even getting better with robotics and all of these inventions.
We don't have to skip that, because let's keep that. For many occasions, for traumas, etc. We can do things now that maybe in the past were impossible.
Right.
But the self-healing capacity, we forgot to look at that, and we thought it was also to do with the vision on health that existed. I think there's a change about 1900 that we invented the what we now call the synthetic medicines, medications that are made from oil.
Yes, yeah.
The petrochemic industry, they were the first to
synthesization of
medication. And so we could look at nature, and we could make it
and patent them.
And patent them. So, and it's not. I'm not saying I'm against it, because there are good things in it, and the way it's used for pain killing. For operations, for narcosis. It's very useful that we have the right amount of medication, and that it works well.
Research is always good.
Research is always good, but we forgot that because we found more and more medications, that we thought that nature, that disease is a mistake of nature.
Right.
And I think that in our opinion, that was a mistake. Nature does not make mistakes.
Right. The disease is a part of nature.
Disease is a part of nature. In our vision, it's a sign that there's something out of balance.
Right.
And so the last, in the West, the last 40, 50 years, more and more doctors and therapists are looking for how can we help the self-healing capacity and to restore the balance in the body. So all the traditional therapies are based on that there is an imbalance. It's not a mistake of nature, but by some cause
might be a mistake of the humans.
If we look better, then it's like how we deal with our crop, the crop that we raise, that the food that we eat. We made mistakes.
If we're looking, for instance, at the homeopathic side of things, and I know that there's a lot of debate going on the side of homeopathy, but if we assume that it has some basis of reality in it, and we've talked about water a lot on this channel, for instance, one of our bigger sponsors, they have water that is infused with the energy of love and gratitude, and that memory of that water that is embedded in the water. And if we look at the water that we drink, that's in our tap water, for instance, it's recycled water that comes from the sewage system, and all of the remnants of antidepressants, of antibiotics, anti-conception, all kinds of recreational drugs, everything
It's still in it.
Yes, yeah, or at least the memory is still in it.
Exactly.
I'm talking about this example because it shows how holistically everything is connected with each other. And so what I've invited you for today is to talk about, okay, how do we change this? What can we do that how do we turn this around?
Yes, very good. I think that is what I will call integrative vision, because we have to go back to the holistic vision. And we call it integrative because we don't want to throw things away, but we have to combine it and make it holistic. You're completely right. We thought that if we go back to how Western medicine still looks at disease, we have to repair things. And sometimes it's necessary. But first of all, we say from integrative medicine, look first what a self-healing capacity can do itself, what people can do themselves. Give them back their own responsibility to look at their lives. How can I eat better? How can I move all the lifestyle factors to be again responsible for how we live? And of course, you mentioned already the information. So many, I dare to say that at this moment, if you look at maybe back, the Western vision of science is also that mind and body is separated. We treat the body, and the mind is something for the psychologist or psychiatrist. We don't know, that's not, but we know, and science is very clear about it, that we cannot separate mind and body. It's interconnected immediately. And so the mind has such power up, and our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions have direct influence on our hormones, all the substances, chemical substances changes in the way we feel. If we are stressed, we getting in defense, and it's necessary to fight or flight or freeze.
Your hormones will act up.
Exactly. If there is a tiger or a lion, we have to.
There's a change in the body. Yes,
that's the nature. So it's important that we have these capacities, but normally when we lived really in nature, in the bushes or whatever, we did not constantly have to be afraid of a tiger or a lion. No, for certain moments, and then we had to react. But in other moments, we had to relax, and to have fun with each other and have love and etc. To feel connected to our social environment. And at this moment, the other hormones come, and then we grow, we develop, and we can grow not only physically, but also mentally, spiritually.
You mean the basis of growth has a foundation in which hormones that you feed yourself with?
Yeah, but also the state where we're in. So we can only grow when we have a certain relaxation.
Right.
We cannot grow when we are in defense. Because then all the chemicals in our body have to switch on fight or flight, and there's no room for growth or wisdom.
Right.
And stress. That's a big word because it's what is stress? It's chemical stress, electromagnetic stress. It's also our thoughts, our anxieties, our fears. So I dare to say that stress is one of the main causes of disease at this moment. If you look at people with burnout, with all kinds of, we called it psychosomatic diseases, but in fact there are only psychosomatic diseases. All diseases have to do also with the mind.
Yeah.
So there we have to look at how can we help people to heal on a deeper level. And that's, besides lifestyle, the food, that we move enough, that we use
exercise,
that we use our body where it's made for, to move.
Yeah.
To be in motion.
Yeah. The Chinese say running water creates life.
Exactly. All that lives is in movement. There is no stasis. Stasis is dead.
Yeah, only dead fish go with the stream.
That's a very good expression.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, good metaphor.
Yeah.
So I think that besides lifestyle, we have to look at how nature works. And part of integrative medicine is also, first of all, how can people heal themselves, and then we look at what causes the disease. And what I found in the last 40 years, most diseases has to do with traumas in the past, things that happened in the past that are still patterns that we had to fight, or stress moments, and we did not overcome that. We did not really heal that, and somewhere we keep on fighting in our mind against our father, mother, society, etc. And we have to help people. We are to come back to themselves, that they come in harmony with themselves, and in peace with themselves first of all, and then with their environment.
It's only if you come into harmony with yourself, then you can also spread that wisdom.
Exactly. And if you look at, we have examples in the world that they call it the blue zones.
Right.
You probably have heard about it.
Yes.
Place where people are getting really older and wiser, but also healthier. They do not only get older, above 100 years old, but they are still moving, they are still playing music, they are dancing.
Yes, yeah.
They are healthy. In that blue zones, cancer is an exception, dementia is an exception, chronic diseases are exceptions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the blue zones are shrinking because Western culture comes everywhere, and I think we cannot go back in time. That's impossible. But we have to learn from these places. How can we implement this again? How can we create healthy communities?
Yeah,
and it's one of the things also for society fourth.
Yeah,
that communities that people feel connected again.
Right.
I think one of the big problems of Western world is that people feel not connected, disconnected.
Yeah. We're deeply individualized.
Yeah. And it is also a positive side, because that's why people learn to think for themselves and not as a community.
Mm-hmm. So, what is good for me, and if it's good for me, I don't care about what's good for other people.
Exactly. So in growth, sometimes you have to grow out of your community. So that's a positive side, but the negative side is that people feel lonely, and many people have lost their purpose in life. One of the most important things of the blue zones in Japan, in Okinawa, they call it ikigai. You've heard that word?
No,
it's Japanese, and it means something like the reason to get up in the morning.
Ah, okay, I see.
That you have a purpose when you wake up. Okay.
My ikigai.
My ikigai. whatever it is. I take care for my grandchildren, or I go to my job and I love my job, and whatever you do, but you have to have a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And that does not have to be only spiritual purpose, but any purpose is, you have to have a purpose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If I don't have a purpose,
you wither away. Yeah.
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 And then it's from fear. I dare to say that many people, that's also research, that about 40% of the people that go to work, they go to work with, we call it in Dutch, with lead in their shoes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
So they don't want to go to work.
No. Yeah.
They have to go with resistance.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
If you think about it, if you go with resistance to what you do, and they are happy when it's weekend, or vacation.
Yeah, yeah. They're looking towards where is half of the week, so at least I know I've got half of it done, and then
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm nearly retired.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, yeah. So I can finally do what I want. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, and then.
Yeah, yeah. The accumulation of all of the stress of the lead in your feet, then it all piles up together at that moment when you get into rest, and then you wither away in a couple of years.
Many people, especially men, when they stop working at 67 at this moment, they get diseases. And why? I think it's because they lost their purpose in life. Why? They miss their work. But when they worked, they went to work with resistance.
Yeah.
So I think we have to think, our government, our leaders should think about that. How can we change that?
But is it really our government? Or is it that we have to change something ourselves?
Of course, I think that's also society. I think Bob has, I love his vision. I love him, but I love his vision. Yeah. Beautiful, because we have to do it ourselves. We cannot wait till our leaders, our government will arrange it for us. No, that will never happen. No. Not when we don't change. Maybe if we change, we get another government, but that's another.
Right, yeah, don't put the horse behind the wagon.
No, but we have to take our own responsibility. Yeah. And that's what we, within Society Fourth, that we try to reach, that people who really take their responsibility back. Yeah. And don't look at the government or our leaders or bosses till they do the right, in our vision, the right things, but we have to give the right example.
Exactly. And, look in your own area. What can I do?
What can I do? And then connect with each other. That's for me also a very important thing. I think there are people with good visions, but there are like Bob. There are a few, but we have to connect, and we have to connect all the people that think in the same way and have the same vision. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm moving. I'm going to a place in the south of Europe where I want to live a self-sustaining life, be as disconnected from the current systems as possible, and I would love to integrate all of the work that Society Fourth has done already. We've talked about food, we've talked about lifestyle, we've talked about community. What are some other things that you, from your domain, would recommend that I would implement in the area where I will start up again, and I will start with a blank slate? What are some key things that you feel well to raise a healthy, may it be a small community or in a connection with other people? What are some key things that from your domain, you would say, well, these are really important from the society force perspective?
I think let's begin with the physical things. You mentioned the food and the lifestyle, to raise the crop in the right way, the natural way. But water is very essential, very important. Water is a mysterious stuff.
Right. Yeah.
We think we know water because water in Holland is everywhere.
Yeah.
But we don't understand water. You mentioned already that water is not only it's necessary to solve things for our body, for our cells, but it's also information. So it's very important that we have to find again the natural water, how we can even heal the water. There's an other domain in society for that's about water.
Yeah, that's about the accessibility of water, correct?
Yes, but also how we can help the water to heal itself. There's no coincidence. We have a study group with homeopathic doctors.
Right.
Yesterday we talked about a remedy that is made of water.
Right, yeah.
That sounds strange because water, you solve things in water. You drink, you use water for your tea.
Where the fish urinate in.
But a short story in between, maybe it's interesting. There was a famous surgeon in Holland, Professor Boerema. In the 50s, he was world famous because we use a solution of salt for infusion.
Yes.
And then we put remedies there in that. And he was thinking about nature. He loved nature, and he gave the example when the Rhône passes the lake of Geneva, Lac Le Mans, and it passes the city. In that time, you could drink from the Rhône.
Yeah.
But the factories already started to pollute.
Yeah.
And what he found was that when it passed Geneva, in that time all the sewage went straight in the lake, and of course you could not drink that there.
No.
It was polluted.
Yeah.
But a few hundred meters after Geneva, you could drink the water again.
Interesting.
So, what is that capacity?
Yeah.
So when he gave a lecture when he stopped working as a surgeon, as a professor, and he talked about this. So this was, he said, well, how interesting. So that's, you could say it's living water. It's self-healing water.
Yeah. So, is there a study of why this was why nature?
No. He just accepted this. So he said we have to use that kind of. We have not to make it from the tap, but we have to use the water from and our seawater has the same osmolarity as our body. You know that maybe.
Well, I know that, for instance, when we look at salt, for instance, we have the normal kitchen salt is often it says it on the package often, it's the purest salt. Yeah. It's the cleanest salt. Well, it's because it's chemical salt. Exactly. It's because there's two components that they add together.
Natrium, soda.
Soda,
and chloride, yes. And that's only two elements.
Exactly.
But in the sea,
you get
the
whole spectrum.
All the elements, nearly all the elements, maybe all the elements are there. Iodium, etc. So he thought we have to use seawater for the infusion. And he looked, and there was a place in the Haringvliet that was the best water, and he did trials with that, and it worked perfectly. But then one of his toxicologists called him and said, you cannot use it anymore because there's too much quick
mercury.
Mercury in it.
Yeah.
So we have to stop.
Yeah.
Because the pollution was. But it gives an idea. Water has a self-healing capacity, and we have to look at that.
Yeah.
How can we restore that? How can we? That and has to do with movement. Water has to meander. We call it. And that's and how it exactly works, we don't know. We know some, and we have some ideas, but I've heard a lecture from one of the scientists from Max Planck Institute in Germany, and they study that. And he told us, there are phenomena in water that we cannot understand. For example, when you do succusion for homeopathic remedy, you know that it's diluted, homeopathic remedy, and every time you shake it, and then you get little bubbles, and they measured the temperature on the bubbles, and they are something of 30,000 degrees Celsius.
The bubbles are 30,000 degrees Celsius?
Yes. Yeah, tell me.
In a bottle?
Yeah, not in the little bubble. When you shake it, you can get little bubbles.
Yeah.
And if you measure the temperature in that little bubble,
of the water or
also
the
water.
Yeah, okay.
The water bubble.
Yeah.
It's about 30,000 degrees of Celsius.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, you cannot feel that because it's only small bubbles. So, another thing is, the experiment that Einstein already foresaw, that if you take two photons that are connected, you take them from each other, and that it's possible at this moment. They did it in Delft, and you place one there, and you do something with that photon. The other thing is spinning the other side, and does the same thing
exactly
without any intervention.
Yeah.
They did it with water molecules, the same thing, and it all happened. So there's a quantum mechanic of a quantum physical.
Yeah, quantum entanglement, I think they call it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's also in water. So, and that's beyond our, anyway, above my rational understanding.
Yeah.
So we have to be humble to nature, that are things happening that we don't understand.
Yeah.
And but the scientists have measured it.
It is fact. Yeah.
Among the physicists, they know it, and of course quantum physicists. And now we talk about quantum computers, etc.
Yeah.
So, but in fact, we are also quantum.
Exactly. Yeah. We might be the most efficient. I don't like to think of our bodies as a machine, because that's often what medical science does, is say, well, the body is a biochemical machine. But the way that we function is deeply connected with how the universe works.
Exactly.
And the more that we discover about what it is that we live in, the more that we come to understand, like, how do we function within the world that we're in.
Exactly. And one of the things is that water has quantum physical properties, but also what's very important is also of light. Light is also, we accepted that there is light, and we know there are photons. But already Christian Huygens, he saw that light can be a particle, but can also be waves.
Yeah.
In the quantum field, there are all possibilities, you could say.
Yeah. Well, we might do an episode about that at some point. So because
it's very important. I think one of the things that you already see is that we talked about water and the self-healing capacities of water. Yeah. Self-healing capacities of our body. We know that it happens. Yeah. We have done studies with, for example, you talked about homeopathy. There's much criticism about, but when you look at the people that criticize homeopathy, that are not the quantum physicists, because most of the quantum physicists they
accept that could be the case.
Marc Henry, he was a professor in quantum physics in France. He died a few years ago. But he talked a lot about homeopathy, and he believed, and he even proved in a way that water can have memory. Yes, our body. He gave a lecture in Amsterdam for the waterleiding and
the water utility services.
He gave a lecture there a few years ago, and he told us that the memory of water, that our body contains also a lot of water. And he had made a calculation that the water in our body can contain memory for 1600 years of Blu-ray quality.
Blu-ray quality.
Yeah, so the storage, I don't know how much gigabyte or what.
You mean Blu-ray, like the Blu-ray discs?
Exactly.
Wow.
1600 years.
Right. So that's like that's like playing the quality of a 4K video on a Blu-ray disc for 1600 years.
That's the capacity of the memory of the water in our body.
Right. Yeah. So imagine how much trauma, how much
also that, of course,
what you can store within yourself.
Yes, but it's
but also the other side, of course. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's very interesting to look at it. Water. If you look at your community that you want to build, the quality of water is very important. And I know there's a lot of knowledge already about it. How to find back, also to clean the dirtiest water. Yes. We can clean it. Yeah. That are possibilities already. Light is also, we accept that there's light, that there's some, we don't understand how that works, but light is essential for life, and that's we had one of the scientists in our, we have a school, the Academy of Intergrative Medicine in Holland.
Yes.
And we educated already 500 doctors, medical doctors, family doctors, but also more and more specialists. We have a group of surgeons, of dermatologists even, that have studied integrative medicine. And what they learn is that if you look, we have, of course, the chemicals in our cells, but that there is not, there's no coincidence how much chemical substances. And we have, he was a professor in cell biology, Roel van Wijk, and he gave lessons to our students, and he had calculated that the chance that the reactions in our cells are the reactions that are taking place in our cells, that cannot be coincidence.
No.
There must be another influence that regulates that.
Right, an organizing.
And so
component.
on a more energetic level, and he has disproven. So we are not we of course we have chemicals, they are there on our physical level,
sure,
but the regulation is on another level. It's more energetic. We have our energetic body, electromagnetic. We are in fact an electrical magnetic system.
Yeah.
And now more and more scientists are looking at that. So the current science in medicine is dominated by the biomedical, the chemical science, but we have to introduce more the biophysical science. They are ahead of this. So Professor Pop, he found that our cells they sent out light, photons.
Yeah.
He called it biophotons, and he didn't know first. He just measured it.
Yeah.
And now the apparaten, the devices are more and more subtle, and they can even measure one photon.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So now we are sure, in the process of in the mitochondria takes place.
We radiate
light, and that the light is not something that is coincidence. No, it's also regulated. And they have proved already that when people have disease, there's incoherence.
Right.
And when people are healthy, there's coherent light.
Yeah.
It's about coherency.
This coincides a lot with what I know, for instance, because I've had some spiritual people on the podcast as well. I've had some people who talk about auras. There's people who've talked about the machines that can measure those things, and they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
They all say that there is a body of light surrounding us, and it radiates from us. And the moment where we are in a state of disease, that's when that light gets less coherent. Yeah. It's amazing to me that we live in a time where these ancient wisdoms and these visions by people who said they have a clear eye, and the scientific field, they all start to encompass this new vision, this new reality, this new paradigm of what it is that we actually are.
Exactly.
And I think it's beautiful that as a medical professional yourself, that you embrace the fact that we are light beings.
Exactly.
I think that's very hopeful for
the future.
And that you're working together with other scientists who also embrace this.
There are more and more scientists, and I will stress that these are the scientists that are beyond their they are not restricted to certain field, but they can think broader. People like Einstein, Niels Bohr, they were even you could even say they were also spiritual people. They were open for that are more than we than the substances, the material world, and I think that's also the big change. That we have to leave the vision that all things are only material. No. In fact, it's light or energy. This electromagnetic fields, and that's the reality. And that's the material world is the density or it's secondary from the energetic field. But that's complete turning around of in our vision. And if we discover that, we have already discovered it, then we come back to the old traditions. Because in the past, the old Chinese, I'm sure they saw the meridians or the old Indians, they saw the energy centers. They call it chakras. And some people see it, people that can see the energy.
What are you going to say? Say that they're liars?
No, but now we have devices, and I'm happy with that. That we have devices that we can measure it, so we can prove that they are there. So, but maybe to come back to your question about your community, because water, light. But also look at also, of course, among the food that you will raise there, but also the herbs. And I dare to say, from my homeopathic point of view, that every plant has also medicinal properties. The old expression is said that is for every disease, or I dare to say for every person there's a herb. So there is also the old sayings, also in the Western world, that when you let grow the herbs around you, those herbs will come up that are good for you.
Yeah, they're grown in your environment.
The plants will grow that you can use as for medication.
Right. So that's an argument for anybody to start a herb garden.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And not to, there is no, what is it, onkruid? Weed.
Yeah, weeds don't exist.
Don't exist. There's nature. And nature let grow, everything that grows has to be there. There's a reason for that. Sometimes to clean the soil or whatever. And if you look at the properties of plants, it's amazing. What's in it? Antibiotics. There's, we know already from our the research now in the pharmaceutical industry, because they do research with plants to see what substances are there, and they extract some substances, but the whole plant is in many cases better than the substances apart.
That's something that I often see with this rationalism, deductional, scientific mindset that we have, is that the way that we look at the world is, and the tool that I used the example of the hammer first, but the actual tool that most scientists handle is the knife. And it means that they look at something, they cut it open, and they see what is in there, that, and that, and they take out what they think is needed. And then they throw away the rest and say, okay, that's the component that is, and thereby completely negating the whole holistic fact.
Exactly.
Because we see it, for instance, with CBD, is that it's there's multiple components within the plant that they work, all of them, they work together. And that's it's
one of my best friends, he did research in Pharma, and he discovered that the whole plant is in many times, in many cases, is better than the substances that are there. And he studied Chinese herbs, also as a professor. So, and he discovered that the whole herb has incredible properties that beyond our imagination. For example, also I use CBD, but the cannabis plant itself it's also amazing properties. It can clean the soil, and it's incredible. What it does, it is we cannot understand how
many different utilities. We could make paper from it. We can make the best ropes. We can make clothing. We can, absolutely.
And also for proteins and the what it can do for in nourishment. But if you see how the plant uses what it takes from the soil, it does not make sense. It's completely.
It's like it takes it from the light.
We don't understand how the plant do that, and then, so we can talk about that, but I will not, because it's a little bit beyond healthcare.
Well, you're always welcome for another conversation.
But I think we have to be curious and to be open and to look at. That's why integrative medicine is also about mixing the technical things that we discovered, but look at also the traditional ways of treating people and healing, and learn from that. And then science and you can maybe say spirituality comes together.
Yeah.
And we see it in the United States. There are many institutes that work together with each other. So I hope that also in the Netherlands that healthcare will go that way, that we really are more open for all the possibilities to heal, and especially to heal ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I really believe in that a unification needs to happen within the scientific field, but also in the healthcare field. I think that it's good that people come together and see, okay, the way that we're treating people is causing a longer period of suffering because of less quality and more quantity. And if we want to turn that around and we want to inform the people of how they can live a better lifestyle, then we must create a guild or some sort that we really take the mission of the healthcare serious again, and start to take a deeper understanding of who we are within this world, and take a stand on that, and not try to have internal quarrels about. It doesn't help.
Respect each other, and we have to come back to. Because there's often said, pharmaceutical industry does that, this and that. Of course, because we have let the money play a role there, that profit, and that's, I think, a very big mistake. It's not that the pharmaceutical industry is wrong, but the way we let them earn their money and their profit, and many people in healthcare profit from that money again, and we have to take the profits away from. Of course, doctors can earn their money, and
is healthcare is it compatible with profit in your vision?
If you say profit, of course. People have to earn their money at this moment. Maybe there comes a time that we look at it in another way, but at this moment it's a healthy thing that you do something and you get money from it. So that's not the wrong, but that there are, for example, the pharmaceutical industry, that are people that the investors that gave money, that they get money from it, and that they decide how to produce the medication and to promote the use of medication. So Aseem Malhotra, I don't know if you know him, is quite famous British cardiologist. Very scientific, and he made a documentary about it, and it's called Health Before Profit.
Right,
so we have to focus on health, what's good for the people. And maybe there are some drugs that can add, that are necessary for pain killing or whatever, what he said. But now many, the promotion to use medication.
Well, that's the thing, is as long as healthcare professionals are sensitive towards lobbyists who come in and they want to promote a certain product, and the idea of that product is to make the most amount of money because there's a certain percentage of the population that you can sell it to.
Exactly. And I dare to say that of course there are always also doctors that profit from that, but I think most doctors that work in hospitals, and they don't care about that profit. They have their own income from the work, but behind it, that's the problem. From politics, the lobbyists, So, and I think that has to stop. That we say no, what's good for the people.
Yeah.
That's like the food. What's that's the food industry, that everybody has to become responsible for what are they doing. Is that good for the people?
Yeah.
Is that good for their health? And then hopefully the mentality will change, that they only produce things that are good and not for that profit comes later. And I think it can maybe combined in a way that's beyond my domain, but I think first of all we have to ask the question, is this product good for people? And many products we have to say no.
Well, it comes down to the integrity of a lot of people.
Exactly.
Because it's easy to see if you have a system in which health is a way to earn money, because if you have sick people and you have a medicine that you can sell them to, then all of a sudden you have profit margin within the system, and so it could be, or it could become an incentive to keep people sick, so you can keep selling the medicine. And that is a corruption of a system that is supposed to be working for people to become healthy. And I think that is one of the biggest the issues of our time, that we look that in the eye and we see, okay, what do we really want to create?
Exactly. I love that, because then you look at it in a positive way. What's good? Of course. And then the bad things that are happening, they will fall away. That will resolve. So the question is, what's good for the people? What strengthen their health, and starting with and in the center has to be what sustains the self-healing capacity of the people. And the other thing we know already, that our body is part of nature. So natural substances in general are better than synthetic. And we know it already. We have a problem with plastic, for example. It's made of oil. And oil is a natural product. And now fortunately there are people that are inventing plastic that can be
that will dilute within the water.
So step by step we will wake up.
Well, it's an interesting difference between what is natural and what is unnatural, because a lot of people might say, well, oil is natural, right? So plastics could be natural.
But it's I think we have to. And I think the old civilizations, if you can call that, they had more knowledge what's natural. If you look in Peru, how buildings are built by the Incas, they used nature for their buildings. And so that's completely other approach. We have to look at the laws of nature and to see how we can use the laws of nature to heal, or to build, or to. And I think we can learn.
Well, that's another good advice that I will put in my pocket. And, thank you very much for this interview. Thank you much for sharing what you wanted to share. Is there anything that you think that is missing from this, or that you would want to give as advice to the people?
No, I think maybe two things. I want to give credit to, we have a Dutch scientist, Machteld Huber, and she made a new definition of health. And it's called positive health, and maybe the definition you can show. And that is about that because the old definition of the WHO is the absence of disease, and physical, mentally, socially. But that's not health yet. And health has to do with resilience.
Sure.
That we can, everything is in movement, we already said. So there is no stasis. So our life is like this. There happens something, but we have to build resilience, immunity.
Yin and yang will come on your path.
Yes, there will happen things. You will grieve about things. You will be angry about things. But the health has to do with balance, to deal with it, to be able to, and so I will really give credits to her about this new definition, because that's the base of also integrative medicine. It's about that medicine, healthcare has to do with relationships. The base of healthcare is relationships. So the people that ask for help and the health of the helpers, they have to be on the same level, and what's happening there, that has to be central. We really listen to the patients, because
step away from the authoritarian
authority that I know for you what's good for you. No, I don't know. I know possibilities as a doctor or a therapist, but you have the knowledge for yourself, to what's the best way for you to heal. And healing is not only restoring, but also growth. Physically, mentally, spiritually, and that's is in a few words. That's about, and you have to look at the whole person, and not only the liver or the kidney. Sometimes, of course, the surgeon has to focus on something. But the family doctor has to learn to look at the whole person. If you have problems with your liver, what's happening there?
Why is there a problem?
Liver, maybe it's anger, anger that's behind it, or so that's what we learn also in the Academy for Integrative Medicine, to look at the whole person, and to learn also what are the possibilities, what are the tools that we can use to help people to heal. From the East, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, but also from the West, anthroposophic medicine, homeopathic medicine, etc., naturopathic medicine. So we have so much in this world, and we have to keep that, and so that's another thing, and we have to focus on the self-healing capacity. How can we promote health? And maybe also to come to an end, what I learned is most of our times we are in our heads, our left side of our brain, thinking about things and worrying about things.
Rational problem solving.
Rational problem, but most of our thoughts, scientists say 60,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are unconscious. We are repeating things. We're thinking about the past, about the future, our schedules, what do we have to eat, and most of these thoughts are the same as yesterday. But those thoughts have influence on our body, and all the negative thoughts bring forth the hormones that are the stress hormones. So we have to become conscious about it. So what I have learned is that for many people, I would say for all people, it would be good to have more relaxation, but also meditation. So to go inside, things mindfulness, and when people, but it goes further than that. But mindfulness is already a very important thing, and what we forgot also in healthcare is that it's not only the ratio that's important. Of course, that has its place, but more is our heart.
Yeah.
And that is not only about love, but it's also about harmony, about connection, and maybe also the connection to our spiritual part.
It's interesting because not long ago I had an interview with someone who lived on prana for 7 months, and one of the most intriguing things that stuck with me is that so for people who don't know, living on prana means that you cultivate your own energy. You live on the energy of the...
That is there, they call it prana in India.
Some people call it a breatharian. You live on breath,
but on the life energy. That's
exactly. You live on life energy, and you don't eat.
No.
He did drink water mostly, but one of them. So I asked him, "Why did you stop?" And the reason he said, "Well, is because I'm so much connected with everything that is from my heart. So all of the emotions, everything that I'm doing it directly enters into my my feeling. So I feel everything very raw, and when I eat, there's like a barrier in between." And
interesting.
And this is perhaps what we do. This is perhaps for people who are obese or we put a lot of barriers in between, and we shelter ourselves because we're the feeling part is the part where often we can be hurt, and we build up a shield and a lot of things in between, and I think it's brave for people if they shed that and they start listening more to their feelings, and they start to be in trust with their senses. And
exactly. And then what the scientists discovered that there are more connections from the heart to the brain than from the brain to the heart. So I think one of the next steps is that we really have to learn to be more in our heart, and that has to do also with meditation and all kinds of exercises on that we can use to come to next step of medicine. You could say that our body has the endless possibilities to heal, but we block it, in fact. And if we open the channels that it can be done, because it's not something we do, but can be done, I think we will see more miracles. So
thank you so much for this interview, and thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about the ideas for Society Fourth. And in that
it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So, if you like this interview, then please don't forget to give it a like and to write something down in the comments. It helps out the algorithm. Also, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We really need those subscribers to get us up to a substantial amount. So don't be a stranger and stick around to the channel. And lastly, but not least, please have a look at our sponsors, organicacbd.com and blueearthinnovations.com. Use the code ParadigmShift if you need anything from their stores. Let them know who sent you. And with that being said, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.